Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. It's me, Protector Cross, and I'm bringing you a brand new video on some Dragon Ball. I guess you can call this lore and a theory, because there's really nothing that's gonna be in the series currently that will really help me back it up with lore accurate statements, because there really isn't any lore accurate statements for what we're gonna be talking about today, and that is fusion timers. And well, I've kind of figured with all the hype around Dragon Ball Daima, Dragon Ball Sparking Zero, might as well come back, bring out a brand new Dragon Ball themed video for everyone who apparently really likes the Dragon Ball videos. Well, let's not waste too much time on this intro. Let's go ahead and dive into the main content. So, within the world of Dragon Ball, there's several iconic scenes that have captivated the audience for generations. One of which, of course, is fusions. Yet, while every single fan seemingly enjoys the concept of fusions, there is still plenty of confusion and mystery surrounding it. This video, we will be looking at how transformations impact fusions, specifically towards the fusion dance and the Potara fusion. As any fan that's worth their salt knows, the fusion dance lasts 30 minutes while the Potara earrings last only 1 hour. We also know that transformations impact these time limits, as seen within the Super Saiyan 3 transformation, lowering the dance timer to only 5 minutes, and Super Saiyan Blue lowering the Potara's time limit as well. Though, the question is, how much time is lost with all of the transformations? I have spent several hours doing a lot of math, and I hate math. I've been deducing down the exact reductions for each form using manga sources and, of course, external supplementary sources. So, let's go ahead and dive into the facts. Now, here's this little side note. Until more official canon information is given, which would be information from Taro now, since the late great Toriyama is no longer with us, may he rest in peace, or, of course, information put into the official canon of Dragon Ball and Dragon Ball Super's manga. I will be using some supplementary materials to help fill in the gaps, as we do lack certain information. This supplemental canon, which is necessary for the formulas which I have developed. So, we will of course be doing that. This is a bit complicated, so bear with me a little bit, as this is a lot of math involved. So, first up, we're going to be starting with the first fusion we know that lowered a time limit and work our way through all of them. Now, the Metamorph fusion dance, a dance which combines two warriors' powers together to form a stronger warrior. It lasts exactly 30 minutes in time. Here's where the math starts. So, if the dance lasts 30 minutes, and we know that Super Saiyan 3's form shortens that timer to only 5 minutes, and Super Saiyan 3 is 400 times stronger than the base and has crazy energy output. If it shortens 30 to 5, then that means the fusion lasts 16.7% of the fusion's time duration. We then work to create a factored number by figuring out how many times 16.7 goes back into 100% of the time, which is a factor of 6, which results in 100.2, as that is the closest we can get to a perfect 100 using this math. If 6 is an equivalent reduction to reach 16.7, and 6 being equal to Super Saiyan 3 makes it equal to 400 times power output, we then know that 5 is 300, 4 is 200, 3 is 100, 2 is 50, and 1 is 0, with 1 being equal to 0 makes it the base state. So, if we use the factored system here, we can now deduce down that Super Saiyan 2 uses exactly 33% of a fusion's time limit for a total of 10 minutes within the fusion dance. as it uses the factor of 3, which is equal to 100 times power additional output. We then know that if Super Saiyan is a factor of 2 for being only 50 times the power output, then a Super Saiyan will reduce the time limit of the dance to last only 66% of the time, for a total of 20 minutes of fusion duration, possibly even less for the master state, which I estimate to be worth 25 minutes of fusion time in the fusion dance. Now, we're going to look at some GT stuff here. We know in GT that Gogeta defused as a Super Saiyan 4 before even 15 minutes. So this I took from the accepted amount of 10 minutes because that's the popular thing. He lasted in the form, which makes Super Saiyan 4 last the exact same time as a Super Saiyan 2 at 33% for an even stronger form, as it has less strain and uses less energy output than a Super Saiyan 3 does. Now, due to the fact we're using percentages, that simply means we don't ever need to change them. The fusion times, that is. If a form lasts 33% in the dance, it will also last 33% of the Potara earring fusion. The only difference is the fact that the Potara has a longer time limit, which makes the forms last longer. Even though they're eating through the form equally in a percentage wise, it will be more time because that's just basic math. That's common sense. So let's go ahead and do this for the dance. This makes the math for Potara pretty simple. If a Super Saiyan is 40 minutes, because that is 66% of an hour, Super Saiyan 2 would be 20 minutes for 33%. Super Saiyan 3, 10 minutes for 16.7%, and the hypothetical Super Saiyan 4 Potara fusion would then last 20 minutes, as that is 33% of an hour. We then get into the complicated facts of the divine forms, which we never got a direct statement in the manga. However, we do get clear indications on how long it possibly lasted, even though fans like to say Vegeta only lasted 5 minutes in blue form, which of course is not true. In the manga, Fuzamas lasted exactly 1 hour even while transformed, due to his perfect fusion nature. Yet, Vegito did not. We can determine that Vegito was fused for roughly 35 to 40 minutes. In this case, I feel 35 is a pretty honest amount of time to use in this scenario. This is due to the fact that Goku and Vegeta do not fuse immediately, and they also defuse, with it being stated that the Fuzamas still had 20 minutes left in his fusion time limit. So if he had 20 minutes left, that means 40 minutes for Vegito would be a safe bet. But again, they didn't fuse immediately and had some dialogue, so for safety, I will be saying Blue Vegito lasted 35 minutes, as the time Vegito had in his blue form as he entered into it is pretty instantaneous. Now, that would put us having Super Saiyan Blue lasting 35 minutes as a fusion. That puts it at having used 58.33% of the fusion timer, which is pretty amazing, being it almost equal to base Super Saiyan. We know Blue loses power the more it's used back to back, though we can rule that out due to Vegito eating the Senzu Bean, which makes my math far more stable. So, if Blue lasts 35 minutes at 58.33%, then what about Super Saiyan God, which uses far less energy? Would that last longer? To get this, I factored in the fact that God does not eat through energy just like Blue. It does it way less than Blue. And if we count the fact that Blue is just Divine Super Saiyan, so we can take 58.33% and divide it by 2, and we get 29.16%. and we can then add that into the blue percentage for having God last a total of 87.49% of the Potara fusion timer, which is in minutes makes Super Saiyan God last 52.5 minutes. Alas, we're not done. So, Perfected Blue is considered a separate form in the manga and is of course canon. Perfected Blue removes the massive energy consumption from Blue, much like the Mastered Super Saiyan state does for the base Super Saiyan state. With this, I think it's only fair to say that it'll add an additional 5 minutes to Blue's time, when in this form, like I mentioned, we do for Super Saiyan Mastered earlier, this puts Perfect Blue at a time limit of 40 minutes at 66% of the fusion timer. Now, sadly, I had to do a bit of guesswork on Blue Evolved. We know it has massive power output, but we just don't know how much of it is just maintained over losing energy. So to be fair, I say it is using more energy than the normal Blue state or Blue perfected state. I'm willing to accept it doesn't, though we just don't have anything saying otherwise at the moment. So I factored in that Blue Evolved is essentially Super Saiyan Blue 2, and so I reduced its timers to match that of Super Saiyan 2 at 33%, as, of course, I don't have any real statements on its energy consumption like we have for base Blue in the manga. Now, that is the only form that really has a ton of guesswork in it, and I'm willing to alter this number in the future if any information is given on the form later on in the Dragon Ball Super manga. So, let us do a quick recap of the Potara Divine time limits. So, Blue is 35 minutes at 58.33%. God, 52.5 minutes or 87.5%. Perfected Blue lasting 40 minutes or 66%. And Blue Evolved lasting 20 minutes in the Potara or, of course, 33%. Now, with all this new information, and because it's percentages, we can finally finish off the dance information. So, let's dance back over to the fusion dance. Using the percentages above, we can deduce how long each divine form will last in the fusion dance. So, using Blue in the fusion dance at 58.33% would make the dance last only 17.5 minutes before needing to diffuse. God would last 26.25 minutes, as it is, of course, 87.5% before diffusion. Perfected Blue's state would only last 20 minutes at 66% in the dance, which would make sense as Gogeta uses this form against Broly. Blue Evolved would only last 10 minutes, equal to the timer of a Super Saiyan 4 at 33%, as its energy consumption seems to be greater from what I can tell in the manga. Note, this does not mean that Blue Evolved is equal to Super Saiyan 4 in terms of power. Calm down, GT fans. If that was the case, then Super Saiyan 3 is stronger than all the forms because the time limit is greatly more reduced. The time limit is affected by the amount of energy being expended by the form, and Super Saiyan 3 happens to expend tons of energy, whereas Super Saiyan 4 and Divine forms don't do that as much. With that, I have deduced the timers down using all the canon available to me to make this as accurate as possible, as accurate as it can possibly be. I did not use any information or forms from non-canon games such as Super Dragon Ball Heroes, as those are not canon and their information does not impact the canon, which makes it just a fun show to watch and nothing more. When discussing the facts of Dragon Ball canon, while yes, GT is not canon, I figured since we had its time estimation in the anime, and, of course, it's a fan favorite transformation within said anime, I figured I'd include it because why not? Mainly, I'm not going to cover some wild form like Ultra Mastered Ego Instinct Super Full Powered Super Saiyan Blue 4 Universe Seed Absorbed Kaioken times 100. Well, with this, I implore you all to explore doing the math yourself. I did the math several times over in different ways. Though, if you for some reason think I'm really wrong about this, for any reason, please comment below. Let's discuss it. I know personally the Potara is always the way to go if available, though drop down below which fusion technique you'd prefer to use in a dire situation. This has been Protector Cross, doing math on your behalf. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to like, subscribe, comment, and share this video to all of your friends and even strangers. Until next time, good day, good night, and good life. This is Cross, signing off.